Hello, everybody. We are back again to die again.
Back at it again with the whatever that meme was. I don't remember.
Back at it again at Krispy Kreme, and then he did a backflip into the sign of the Krispy Kreme player. God, it's like you don't have meme knowledge filling up your head. What do you even keep in there? Thoughts?
No, not
ideas?
nothing.
Intelligence?
There is no room. I have one brain cell, and it is on loan. Also the white vans. That's the one I'm thinking. That's the one
you
I'm
were thinking
of,
Daniel
yes.
with the white. Damn Daniel with the.
Yeah, damn Daniel with the white vans.
Yeah.
Claire's head is full of math knowledge. Not necessarily true.
Sorry, it just died there the funniest way possible. That was really funny.
You were just excited.
I was. Claire's head is full of math knowledge. Absolutely true. Do you know Claire knows the solution to every single math problem? That's true. That's why they call her the human calculator.
Who?
Sorry. Calculatress. It's feminist.
Calculatress sounds like a villain in a 1990s like Sunday morning show.
Man, if we kept playing that game of like masks that we had once upon a time, the way I would have made that the name of a villain would have gone crazy.
She's memorized all those equations Einstein said he'd just look at in a textbook instead. You know what? That's the modern day equivalent of I'll just Google it, and like that's, I respect that.
Oh no, sorry Claire, it's no longer I'll just Google it, it's I'll just type it into ChatGPT.
I'll just type it into ChatGPT, right? I was gonna say, we were talking a little bit about ChatGPT on the break. That
and how much
for the video game
makes
course,
me want to die. Yeah.
It makes you want to die, which is fair. For the course I'm in, the video game course, it's not like a like an art course, and so technically the assets we use are allowed to be generated, which is interesting. I'm not really that interested in doing it because we have both me and another person who's happy to do art, and also there are free assets out there that you can just use that already exist and are made by people. Made by people who drew them, to be specific. There are so many free assets. Yeah, exactly. But there were some video game proposals, or sorry, not proposals, pitches. Those are different in the class I'm in. There's some video game pitches where people like used like AI generation for like their title screen, which is wild because their title screen does not look like the rest of their game at all. And to me, if I was playing a game and the title screen looked like one thing and I got in the game and it looked nothing at all, like the vibe at all, I'd be like, did I mess up? Is this the right game? What happened?
100%.
And I feel like it just has caused like a lack of creativity.
100%.
Because, and I don't wanna shit on it, like other people's game ideas. There's some interesting ones. There's some that are like kind of not that interesting, and I'm really, really happy with our idea. I think we have a very distinct idea that basically everyone else in the class is like, wow, that's a unique idea. I really want to play this game. And having people repeatedly say that, it's like, wow, great, awesome.
Yeah.
That is kind of a lot of pressure, but also like is encouraging because like what we did is we just put forward game ideas and then talked about it until we all agreed. We didn't all agree at the beginning. The game idea we came to wasn't any of the things we pitched. It was a combination of such. And we did that by talking to each other.
But Claire, you could have just put it into ChatGPT.
I could have just put it into ChatGPT and then none of us would have had opinions. The problem is actually all of us, not all of us, the majority of us actually have opinions, which is refreshing. Oh my god, what prompt you used to get that idea? So true. So true. Give me original game idea that's never been done, and then it gives me 5 game ideas that have been done.
Oh my god.
FML.
Yeah, the thing that I was complaining about off stream, I can't really talk about. I was working with some people on something that I don't normally work with in my normal job, and every single moment they'd come up with like a way to say something, and it would be like a totally fine way to say it, and they'd be like, yeah, and now let's just put it into ChatGPT just to fix it, and I'm like, why? It was perfectly fine. It was perfectly fine. It was literally all good. We were all fine with it just as it was. I'm really getting fucked by this particular thing here, which is definitely not supposed to be.
You are. Angles are your enemy.
Angles are a little bit.
I can be your angle or your devil.
But it was just like, then they put it through ChatGPT and it would just sound worse. And I would just be like, why did we do that? Why? What benefit
because
did that
good is now equivalent to corporate.
But it's not even, it didn't even sound corporate. It was less clear. It was,
oh,
it was like worse in terms of just how it sounded. Like, there was truly no benefit, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
I can use this to get back, and fuck yeah. Okay. I would also like to get over to there. That would be cool. So like an easy way to do that. Anyway, this was a thing that I was saying I agree with you, because at a certain point it stopped being like we were trying to think of ideas, and it started being me sitting there while all of these people just put everything, just like ask ChatGPT what it should be, essentially. And I'm like, guys, we're supposed to be coming up with ideas here. What?
Yeah.
What? What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, so, I feel like I get the impulse to want, like, original assets in a game that are, like, exactly what you want, but, like, one, they're not gonna be exactly what you want. Even, you know, there's so much context around that, but even with that, like, without that context, they're not gonna be what you want. And, like, you need to do a whole bunch of work to have like the artwork be consistent, and so suddenly your game looks weird. And also you don't really have like creative control.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like the fun of a game to me, is like getting to have the feel. Because like what I'm doing is I'm putting together a style guide, because none of us are like super great artists, but I'm like, we don't really have to be super great artists. Let's pick like a brush we're using that's like, we're using like a dry chalk brush or something that like has a sort of like spotty feel, and so like it feels very like textured and whatnot, and it's like, oh, this is fun. And like literally this is just because like someone like drew a sketch and I was like, I kind of like the feel of this. What brush did you use? Oh, let me like update the brush, and now all of us are gonna use the same thing. And like, you know, to me that's fun, of like finding a way that everyone can chip in by like getting one person to do a thing and then expanding on that, which is the same, you know. I don't know. I'm just saying things at this. I think I'm just like hesitant
to what?
To like play the games that are using generated assets, because I'm just like, what is it gonna feel like to play your game?
I don't like engaging with AI stuff at all, and it's becoming harder and harder not to do so. Like I'm taking a very principled stance on it, and I recognize that, like, you know, you can't really last forever on those. But I would like to last as long as I can. I will say, one of the ways that I think we've gotten here is, I think, working in, and adjacent to, at the very least, academia for so long, is that part of the problem is we actually just don't teach critical thinking very well. And especially in some fields, but really in a lot of fields, we don't teach it. The goal so rarely has to do with, okay, so I have to get to that ladder over there. How do I do that? Interesting.
You mean the machine that can't parse semantics is bad at producing clear language that actually communicates what you're trying to portray?
I see what
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocking.
But the thing that I was saying was just that, like, part of the issue is, even before Chat GPT and AI and, you know, all this stuff, people already essentially did not know how to like engage with ideas, essentially. Like, I've had to explain to people the concept that this class is asking for your experiences and opinions. This was a foreign concept to them. They could not fathom. And like that's where we're at this point in many ways. And then you add AI into that, and no wonder it's everywhere, because everyone thinks we're all just doing it to do what we're supposed to do, which is whatever we've been told, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, that's really. I was thinking about like doing what we're told. The first assignment for the class, actually, like when I was reading it, you had like a lot of pretty open, like creative control.
Yeah.
Like, what we were doing was, we were essentially making what is called an ECS system, or an entity component system. I guess it's not an entity component system. It's just we were making an ECS engine, which is a way of thinking about data. It's very like fundamental modern game design, modern like software design, more and more so. But in the main thing, you could basically, there was a whole section of like leave any comments for your TA, who's grading your thing, your teacher's assistant who's grading your thing. And so I explicitly was like, hey, I made some choices that are like different than what the assignment asked, but I actually think my call is the right call. Like, I fully put that in, being like, I think I'm right here. And it was like error handling. I was like, I'm checking for more errors than the actual thing was looking for, because we had like tests, and then we had the expected output of tests, and some of my stuff had extra error messages, and I was like, hey, like, I'm leaving those in, and I think it's the right call.
Yeah.
And I don't know who else would do that.
Yeah.
In the class, that is. I'm sure there are many, many, many people who would do that, but at least in this class, I don't know who would do that.
I think for me, it's like, I should have healed. Yeah, should have healed.
Oh,
didn't heal. That's fully on me. I'm just gonna go back and just spend that money. I'm just gonna go back and spend the money, and then I will come back.
That's fair. You do have that fast travel now, so it's
that's
like
what
no,
I'm saying.
no sweat.
I'm at a fast travel point. I'm just gonna do that.
Tell me.
Let's see, the camp. Yeah, let's go to camp. Yeah, I truly think that in many ways, because I think one of the biggest topics of conversation right now amongst like teachers and those types is that, well, the kids, you know, they're not at like a high level of knowing things, essentially, right? They're not doing well. And part of the thing is, I think we did that. I think in many ways, like, not me necessarily, or you, Claire. But
you
like,
and me specifically.
Yeah, you and me specifically.
We went
no, but culturally, I think we've put people in a position in which they think it's all just kind of bullshit.
Serve, rookie. I'll be here if you.
And then now we're like, but they're acting like it's all
we're
bullshit.
Here. Take this.
Oh.
It should aid you in your endeavors.
Thanks, Rascal. And it's like, yeah, no wonder that we're, you know, they're treating it like it's bullshit. We taught them that you're not supposed to really engage with it. You're just supposed to, like, do whatever they say and follow the instructions and not put any more thought into it than that. You know?
Yeah.
Oh,
that makes me think of a thing which I didn't really like. I'm gonna make an assumption. Oh.
Yeah.
So I talked to my professor in class, who, like, I'm the only grad student in this class, by the way. I got permission to take an undergrad class because there's a grad version of this class that wasn't being offered. So everyone else is an undergrad, and so I've gotten to know the professor pretty well. Also, I call him by his first name because I feel like that's just normal when you're a grad student.
Yeah.
And like the undergrads on my team were like, "Is that okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's his name."
Yeah.
What else am I gonna call him?
You seem to be doing anything?
So I've been like asking him for additional resources, and one thing he said is like, I understand that you're approaching this class differently than everybody else as a grad student, and like I didn't really think about what that meant, but potentially what that could mean is exactly what you're saying of like people are kind of just approaching it with like, I'm gonna do this
I'll be here if you need.
to do the thing, and I'm like, I'm doing this because what I want at the end of this is a game for my portfolio so I can apply to studios and be like, look, I learned how to do graphics programming, please hire me.
Yeah.
Please.
Remember where the guy was, my friend who I got his cooking stuff.
Looking for a guy. Is he not in this? Oh no, he's not in the camp. He's in like the village?
Is it
Like
Fishy
that weird
Village?
village, I
It might
think? Maybe?
Welcome back, Elias. But yeah, I was just noting what Ash has said, and then that ties into Rising Sun.
Hello,
It's
my
not
keeper.
that deep type of thinking. 100%. This whole thing.
Is that a meme? Like, I guess
Yeah, this is a
it's not
thing.
that deep
Yeah, this
'cause
is
I've,
a
like-
very common thing. It's not that deep, bro. It's very common.
Huh. I mean, I remember it from like 2010s of like, that's the joke.
Hello, my
Right.
keeper.
Yeah, it's
But
not
I'm,
a joke.
I'm assuming it has evolved. Okay.
It's just that's just what a lot of people think about things at this point. Man, where is he? Where the fuck are you, dude? I guess I can go back here. Maybe he'll be here.
A returning not so.
Oh, you had stuff still. Uh-oh.
Ooh. You spent all your money.
Fuck it. Yeah, sure. I just want more trinkets
yeah.
just so that I can unlock more trinket slots.
That makes sense.
Try not to die. You're the only.
Yeah. Where did he go?
Off on another.
Do I have to like go to the fishy village and then walk a bit? Maybe. Anyway, AI bad. It's very true.
Generative AI often misused.
AI bad. Generative AI is bad inherently. It has no positive contribution to the world.
But we can agree spell check is good, right?
The spell check that worked the way that I wanted it to, yes. The new spell check that I don't know. I'm not huge on.
There's a new spell check?
So I got a new phone recently, and it does feel like they've changed something about the spell check. This might just be it's a new phone and it hasn't quite learned yet. But it does kind of feel a little bit like the spell check is, and the spell check is trying to like. I've had to turn off basically every feature in spell check that's also trying to like tell you what you should say, basically.
Yeah.
I've
There are like things that I'm like, you know, I wish this used AI. The thing is, all the things that I'm like, I wish this used AI isn't generative AI. It's like a specific different thing. And like, that's where, I know we've had this conversation, like, people just think of generative AI when you say AI, but like...
I mean, that's what I mean.
To be clear, when I'm saying AI,
there we
I'm not
are.
saying generative.
Hey, buddy.
Favorite pot,
Hey, there he is.
the diamond knife set. The ladles my mistress gave me. I can't believe you really found them. Thank you, Rookie. This means so much for this old cook. Now I feel properly qualified of cooking a meal for a crew like the Angry Mermaid.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Wow. A friend of mine once said, anything you do as a joke becomes earnest within a year. I constantly find this to be true, and I'm careful about like how I make jokes and how frequently. That's fair.
I think that's
I'm a
very
big
true.
believer you can always go deeper. The world is unfathomably complex, and yet attempts to find deeper truth will always be rewarding. True. Spellcheck can never parse my idolect. But, yeah. I mean, there's definitely flaws with spellcheck, and also I don't really use spellcheck on my phone anymore. From my understanding, AI is actually incredibly useful in medical context and artistic context. On the other hand, fuck AI. In medical context,
Hello, my
there
keeper.
are there are useful applications and there are extremely damaging applications.
I will say. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I had to actually write a whole paper on like the application of AI in medical context for my degree.
Interesting. That's fascinating. I think one of the TV shows that I've been watching that I've been watching a bit of, because we watched season 1 and thought it was quite good, is The Pit, which is the.
Damn, it's not The Pits.
It's actually season 1. Season 1 we're still getting through, and I'm not totally. I'm a little worried about it. I'll admit. There's some parts of it that I'm a little worried about. I think they may have like. Okay, The Pit is essentially a medical drama. The pitch of which is each season is, the pitch of which is that each season is the course of one shift. It's like 12 episodes.
Oh wow!
Each episode is an hour of that shift. And it is just essentially the worst day of these people's lives.
Wow.
It's really good. Season 2 is one of the things that they're wanting to talk about, because a lot of it is them using it to talk about what's happening in the medical field. And season 2 has a discussion about AI use in the medical field, and it's fascinating.
Ooh.
In which it's like it has a character who's a big AI like proponent, who's like basically uses an attempt to care for a patient to basically advertise this AI thing that she likes. And then like at the end she's like, look, and it automatically charted for you. And then someone points out, but it put the wrong medication in there. It like misheard the medication or whatever, put the wrong one in there. She's like, yeah, well, it got it 98% complete or correct or whatever. And it's like this big there's this big like sense of like discussion within this team of like, oh, is it good because it's faster, or is it bad because it can potentially harm or kill a patient? She is very hot. That is very true. That is the problem. But I don't know.
Hot though.
She is very hot. Admittedly, she's very hot. But
Me
is it
towards an
interesting-
evil woman. Damn, she's like committing genocide, but like she's so
true.
pretty.
But I had this moment of watching, and I was like, I think this has deconvinced me that there's useful medical applications. I'm sure that potentially there are, but that for me was like, oh yeah, no, you gotta chuck that shit out. If it can just get the wrong medication on there, then you're not gonna check it. They're gonna get used to not checking it, and eventually it's gonna kill someone. You know?
Yep. Yeah. We'll go on about medical usage play examples of both good and bad. Yeah, I saw the new stuff about the pit. That is yikes. She's like committing genocide, but like pretty, literally Kavira. I was also thinking, who was I just thinking? Oh, I guess spoilers for Fire Emblem 3 Houses, but Adel, guard.
So true.
Who has never done anything wrong, and I will support her always. And she definitely didn't do it. Yep. Anyways, my opinion and my paper in summary was like, it is too early to do this without serious ramification of harm to marginalized communities. Because I was like, what AI is fundamentally doing is finding common patterns and averages. And averages are a majority, are the majority, right? Like, and like, this is super useful the majority of the time.
Yeah.
The problem is when it is the minority of the time. And when we're talking about medical applications, like, what you are fundamentally doing is
that's fucked up.
constructing. Damn, they got you.
Well, they just have never done that before, so I was like, what the fuck? Okay, that's
they
crazy.
Gotcha. And so what they're doing is to use AI in a medical context and like in in the context of the paper, like what specifically in the medical context of the paper, it was, I believe it was diagnosing. So it was like a little bit more specific than just medical context. It was like, it was like when should like in what way should AI like work with a doctor in terms of diagnosing, which is like a little bit more of a nuanced question than just AI in medicine. And like there were some good thoughts from people. That's like, you know, I disagreed, but they're, you know, critical. I like reading people's critical thinking, even if I disagree with them. Mine was, it's too early, because what you're going to do is you're going to create a system that is going to become a default that constructs harm specifically towards minority like groups that are like whatever the minority that is accessed, like not necessarily minority in like what we think of as like minority identity.
Any
so that
literal,
is, there would
literal
be a overlap.
numberized minority. Like,
yeah, exactly.
In terms of the numbers.
Yeah, in terms of like a marginal, like
marginalized, Claire?
Yeah, marginalized. I think about, if anyone here knows of, like, we had data about a giant hole in the atmosphere, I believe, and you can check me on my dates, I think in the 80s, and we had the data in the 80s, and we learned about it in the 90s, because the people who collected the data saw the data and threw away the outliers because they were cleaning the data, quote unquote. Which was like a huge deal. When it was realized that this is what happened, it was a huge deal. It sparked a lot of conversation and like, what does cleaning data mean? Like, what does it mean to like throw away or keep it? Damn, you got fucking pranked there. What does it mean to throw away data? Another thing I was that I referenced was, I believe, is it Spyro? Not the medicine, the breathing test, the thing that tests for asthma. Their data, what they test for asthma is, and again, I'd ask people to double check me on this. From what I remember from somebody in the class who specifically was doing their degree on that test, was the data, the way they diagnose that is from white and Mexican male patients, and I say Mexican because that is what, like, in the data it is referred to as. That this is like the context in which people are being compared against. Now, not only is there like a racist component to this, there's a sexist component. Like, what does it mean? Like, are my numbers similar? Right? And like, what if I'm not white, and what if I'm not Mexican? Right? And like, who's categorizing how you fall into these categories? Right? It's the doctor.
Gothic
but
is elevator in this game, by the way.
this is the default because it was done like 40 something years ago, and they were like, we'll update this, and they never did.
Yeah.
And now the machines that like automate this is the core fundamental data that it's automating against.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
to me, this was my argument of like, if you do this, what you're going to do is be laying the foundation of like what is used in future contexts that is going to construct a new kind of minority in the context of whatever the application of this medical AI is. And so if you are doing so without explicit knowledge of doing so, you're making a mistake. And if you are doing so with the knowledge of doing so, there is a deep fundamental flaw that needs to be accounted for that I don't think we are societally ready in North America. Because again, the context of what the paper was. And that was like my thing. Anyways, that was me going on a rant about
No, I
AI.
appreciate it's a good
Thanks
rant.
for listening.
I feel like my core thing with AI is, one, I don't like how it gets the data it uses, and I don't like the way it uses it. And 2, I don't trust people with it. With the society that we have constructed, the way that
fair.
we all are, I don't trust. I don't think doctors should be using AI because I don't trust doctors and I don't trust AI. I think that doctors who end up using AI will end up relying on it in ways that harm patients' health.
Yeah.
And I believe that's true in every single case. And I recognize it's a very broad, thing, but like, I don't know. I feel confident saying it. It's like the Biden.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with that opinion. You basically said my opinion in many less words, which I am not succinct often when
That's
I am not
okay.
trying to be. Fen says, also thank you, Elias, quality and informed rant, thank you. Fen says it's like, so I'm gonna let you read this. I'll let you read this, but quickly cut you off.
No, do
it's
it.
like the Biden scale for hypermobility, which isn't even supposed to be a diagnostic tool. It was made to have concrete parameters for a study on hypermobility, and yet it gets used as the first and foremost diagnostic tool for hypermobility. Womp womp.
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
That's how it goes. Yeah. Anyway, the cultist menace flourished amidst a nation engulfed in despair and hopelessness. During the decade-long war endured by the old folk, Takon the Knower exploited the turmoil to sow seeds of hatred and violence. Amid such chaos, it fell upon the opposition to fight back. Our duty was to preserve peace and cherish our land. It's really feeling kind of evil, to be honest with you. Cherish our land, preserve peace. I don't know about
What,
all
you
that.
think cherishing the land is evil?
Well, I think.
What, do you hate the land, Brianna?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think we should destroy the land?
Yes, I do. Land is anti-woke now.
Land.
Land is fascist now. The concept
Great.
of land. I mean, it always has been.
I
Always has been.
mean,
Always has been.
without going on another rant, land is an imperialist.
Land is an
concept.
imperialist concept. That's what I'm saying. I don't trust it. Oh, that's gonna be you're supposed to go super fast.
I don't
huh?
trust the land. We're going to the ocean. We're
I
gonna all
don't
live in
trust
the
the ocean.
now.
I don't trust AI. I don't trust planes. So I don't trust the air. I don't trust the land. I don't trust the ocean. I don't trust fucking anything anymore. Ah, this is awful.
I
Team
like
Aqua
it.
was
This is fun
right.
that way. Team Aqua was right. That's funny. Hashtag Team Aqua was right. Hey, was anyone else like deeply into like the lieutenants of Team Magma and Team Aqua and thought they should date?
Yes. This is as someone who plays the Pokemon Gacha game, this is not an uncommonly held belief at all. Okay, you don't have to rush that. Okay, just, that's a little funny. But yeah, no, 100% they should date, especially Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire version. Come on, they're begging for it.
Yeah. Who is it? It's Mars and.
You don't mean the people in charge. You mean the lieutenants.
No. I mean the lieutenants.
Wait, who are you thinking of?
Mars and the.
That's Galactic. You're thinking of the 3 girls from Team
Who's-
Galactic, aren't you?
Okay, sorry. No, I am thinking of the Magma and Aqua team members, and I'm gonna find Shelly and Matt or Aqua. I don't know if that. I don't think that's who I'm thinking. I will find you the names because I have a very specific. Like I know exactly who I'm thinking of. I just don't know their name. Maybe it is Shelly.
Shelly. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you're right. It, is it Shelly? Wait, or is it Amber? No. And then who's the Magma?
Magma
one?
would be,
It's Tabitha? No. Courtney?
Tabitha.
Courtney.
Courtney and Tabitha. Yes. Tabitha
Courtney and
being a
Shelly
man.
should date.
I like this. I also think what I'm saying is I think Maxie and Archie should date.
Oh, 100% on board.
That
I'm
goes without saying.
obsessed. Yeah. I'm obsessed with Courtney as like an autistic woman who
Yeah, we
is
support,
fully
yeah.
just like just there to like get the job done, and she's
Yeah.
just like, you're in my way, and I need to solve this problem.
Yeah.
And damn if she isn't a character I would play a whole game about.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Anyways, that's my that's my team Aqua
No, I
Magma
love it.
opinions.
I love it. Maxie and Archie should be ex-husbands. To me, they are. In my heart of hearts, they're
Damn,
ex-husbands.
true.
I have an
True.
entire list of Pokemon characters who I believe are ex-husbands, are dating, are whatever. It's a long list.
Amazing.
There's a weird polycule in Paldea happening amongst all the women in Paldea. That's happening.
What?
There's if you look at Sycamore and Lysander and you don't see something happen there, I don't know what to tell you. Cynthia is simply
Cynthia.
traveling the world, topping every lesbian she can find. This to me is who Cynthia is. She just
Real.
believes in doing a good job. And
She broke up with Steven and it was the right call.
that is not true, Claire. Steven is a gay man, and I think it's insane to say anything else than that Steven and Wallace are gay men in a gay relationship with like a whole thing going on. One
What
was
I'm saying is
Wallace's
Cynthia
former
and
lover.
Steven were each other's beards, and it went really wrong.
I guess you could say that, but I don't know that I would ever describe Steven as closeted. That man is too busy being autistic about rocks to be closeted. He's busy.
Damn mood.
He's tired. Though, if Heated Rivalry taught us anything, is that you can be autistic about your special interest and closeted at the same time. Shout out to Shane from Heated Rivalry. Anyway, I'm gonna read this now.
Sounds good.
As Khan enacted the ritual to seize power, dooming our civilization in the process. The opposition countered by invoking an enchantment to break his will. Sacrifice was made. The cultists turned to stone, their vileness frozen for all eternity. Who wrote this? Again, who is writing this? If all of you are doomed and dead and gone, I just want to know.
Great question.
I'm not saying
Just
someone can't be
asking
writing it. I just
questions.
wanna know.
Just asking questions.
Just asking questions. Steven is hot. Steven Stone was one of my first crushes as a child. This is genuinely true. We're talking 16-bit Ruby and Sapphire, Steven, or 32-bit or whatever. 64-bit by that point? I don't know. The stone enchantment brought an end to the cult's reign of terror. Though potent, it demanded a grave sacrifice. It halted Takon's spread of chaos beyond our shores, nonetheless condemned the island to the abyssal corruption. Yet, through the soul jar, the enchantment was wrought, safeguarding not only our island, but the entire world from the threat of the cult. Then where do the stories come from if there are no survivors? Legit paraphrasing of Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, 100%. Stories say there are no survivors. Then where do the stories come from? Yeah. Okay, I see what I have to do.
Ruby has a 16-bit graphics as opposed to an 8-bit predecessors. There you go.
Damn,
I
it
looked
was
up the answer.
8-bit. I really thought... I was like, no, or 16-bit.
It was
By
16.
that point, I was like, I'm sure they must have been up to 32-bit or something. Turns out, nope.
I mean, most computers, yes. Tiny GBA cartridges, no.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not very good at knowing what bits mean, I guess.
Bits are... A bit is a 1 or a 0. That's what a bit is. A
No, I
byte
mean in
is a
terms
collection
of
bits.
what that means for game design.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
if you ask me, is Undertale... Because Undertale's been on mine because I have a friend who's been playing it for the first time.
Undertale 64.
Delightful experience.
It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about art style versus what it actually uses.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm-
can tell you the answer if you want.
Yeah, what is the answer, actually?
So the answer of what bit, like, something is a something bit means, like, how big can your number be? This is why there was a whole thing with Y2K, which, like, all of the clocks were going to reset because our computers were, I believe, 32-bit, and the way that the math worked out was the biggest number in the clock that we could get to was like 2000, and like the year 2000. And so all the clocks would reset back to, I believe,
Yeah.
1970, 1930 or something like that. And once you hit 64, you're essentially multiplying that by 2, 32 more times. So it's 2 to the power of the bits is the largest number you can have. Unless you're doing signed numbers. And by signed, I mean you have negative or positive. If you have an unsigned integer, as an example, you can get up to the number 2 to the power of 64 minus 1. That minus 1 is subtracted from 2 to the power of 64. That's the biggest number you can have. It's a big
Sick.
number, by the way.
Yeah, that's a big number. Cool. Okay.
A bit is a money in Digimon. So true, Elias.
That's so true. That makes sense, I guess, sort of, to as much as it
8-bit
possibly
looks
can.
ugly, Elias. I gotta disagree with you on that one. I'm sorry.
I think Elias is right.
As a
I
child of the 90s,
no.
I'm disagreeing with
Elias
you.
is correct here, and you are wrong. And I'm not afraid to say it. And I know I'm gonna
Alright.
get canceled for it or whatever. It's new.
Elias, you have Brie on your side.
You have me on your side on this thing. 8-bit looks ugly, 16-bit looks good. I guess here's a big question for everyone.
Thank you, fan.
And so the lines are drawn. So here's a question for everyone. What was the best generation for video games?
What do you mean best?
Best for what generation is
Like
the
the
best?
thing that did the most for advancing video games?
What's the best generation of video? It's whatever you wanted to tell me what your interpretation is. I think even
So many
knowing what your
answers.
interpretation of that is in itself interesting. So
I'm literally in a class that is like thinking about the way that different generations of video games are the best. And like all of them are best for different reasons.
sure, I'm saying what's your opinion of what do you jump to?
What do I jump to? What do you jump to? I need a second to think about this.
You need a second to think about this. That makes sense. Man, I am like, I do really think GameCube look terrible in the inferior to GBA. I was also a GBA GameCube kid. What I do think is, I think if I can narrow it down pretty easy to 2 specific, like I can narrow it down to what I think were the best consoles. This is, admittedly a difficult question, but what do I think? It's because it's partially formed by nostalgia. In many ways, I do want to say GBA was the best, but I don't think that's necessarily true. But I think there's a couple of years.
GBA was very fundamental in refining a lot of genres.
Sure, but what do I think about as like being the peak of gaming, like the best games were? Because I think at this point, the advancements in video games that are happening are not things that are super interesting to me. What is most interesting to me is like kind of indie stuff, and a lot of indie stuff is just like not getting to do. Oh, well, that's it.
Oh no.
That's rough. I didn't realize how far out it was.
You were close though. That was
Yeah.
good though.
I think I would make probably, there's like a particular era of like in the indie game revolution that I think you could make a pretty good argument for it being the best in my view. That's like late 2010s, I think. You got,
I think it's early 2010s now.
well, no, I think about
early
maybe
to
mid 2010s. Like I'm thinking of Celeste and Hollow Knight and Undertale and
Sure.
like that particular generation. Undertale comes out before most of those. I recognize that, but I think there's a window in there that, in many ways, Undertale kind of kicks it off. Of this generation.
Undertale's 2015.
Yeah, Celeste is what
2018.
2018. Yeah, so like mid to late 2010s is I think a phenomenal period of video games. It's also the first kind of rise of the Nintendo Switch. I think this is my answer. I think to me that was peak. That's my answer.
Right.
Because you were both seeing still substantial development in AAA titles, but also a really incredible indie game revolution. And like, I do think that, you know, for all the issues that Nintendo has, which are many, I think especially that first era of the Switch is like kind of unimpeachable, right? Like, I know that it's become like, oh, I think I saw actually some takes today that were like Breath of the Wild sucks for video games or whatever.
Wow.
I don't believe that at all. I think Breath of the Wild was phenomenal. I think, yes, you have a lot of the, like, AAA that are, like, obsessed with open world or whatever. And I think, is that the most exciting? No. But it was before it was so saturated with, like, live service games. Like, aggressively saturated with live service games. Which I think has not been good for gaming as a whole. These are my various takes.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have to shoot?
I think my answer is the Game Boy. The Game Boy.
Yeah.
Not the Game Boy Color, not the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy.
Because why?
The way that games had to be made during Game Boy era was so fascinatingly, like, you were working with so little. Like, think about the original Pokemon, which I believe original Pokemon is Game Boy, or is it Game Boy? No, it is Game Boy. It's not Game Boy Color.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's Game Boy. Blue and Red, and learning about the, like, technical ways they had to solve. Oh God. They had to solve some of the problems, like having an open world in a game that, like, you couldn't really have a. Sorry, not an open world. When I say open world, I mean multiple maps. Like, having a game the size of Pokemon was wild, and the ways they achieved that was so fascinating. I remember learning that I think they had like a couple bytes or bits left. They used almost every single piece of data. Like, they used it to the max that they could. So I think, like, the finesse of that, the artistry of that is something to me that's like, it's not indie. I think it is a different kind of revolution.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think
love
that's
the indie revolution.
A very reasonable answer. Yeah, like that makes total sense to
me. It's like, it showed us the way video games are made now is, what can you make people believe the thing is? It's like, how is a mirror in a video game made? Well, as soon as you learn the answer, you're like, oh, well, duh. It's like, it's not an actual reflection. You just put a thing in, like, you mirror the player's movement and you use a sprite, etc. Like, your goal isn't to do what the game is portraying, it's to make the players see what you want them to see in the game. And that, to me, is like, it's theater.
Yeah, I love that. That makes total sense. I think so. As someone who was not around for that particular era, I think it is, like, fascinating to learn about, and like how what they had to do to get it to that point, you know, is so interesting. And like, I think, like, even thinking about, like, I mean, you hear all these, like, great stories even around that era, like even Gen 2 of the video game of Pokemon. Like, there's that story about, like, Iwata, like, coming through and, like, reprogramming the game or whatever, and, like, saving so much space they could fit Kanto on it or whatever, and, like, that, because it was still kind of a not punk necessarily, but, like, it was still kind of homegrown in a real, like, grassroots, I guess is the word I'm looking for here.
I mean, Pokemon was, what, 4 developers, I think, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Like,
which is wild now. Like, to even think about that now is wild. Also, Elias, I hate to disappoint you. am going through the Metroid games and got to Metroid 2 and am thoroughly enjoying it.
Very gotcha.
Not even a gotcha. It's just like, I think
Yeah.
like growing up with those games, it's like I'm looking at it in the context of like, wow, this is like really great. And like going from Metroid Zero Mission, which is a Game Boy Advance game, to Metroid 2, which I believe is an NES game.
I think what Elias is saying is like playing Metroid 2 on the Game Boy was not the best way to play Metroid 2.
Oh, yeah. That's actually true. Yeah, I think it was re-released in the Game Boy, and I think the NES is the better way. Also, I'm around to have played NES games and SNES games. Like, one of my first gaming memories is playing the SNES with a friend, where we would pass the controller back and forth, playing Super Mario World.
I mean, I played Super Mario World on the Game Boy, like Game Boy Advance SP. Like, my first console I ever had was Game Boy Advance SP, and like the only consoles I played early in that because my dad had a Sega something. What was it? It was like not one of the big ones. It was like not the Genesis and not the Saturn. It was like a different.
Ooh.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and I don't.
But yeah, there was,
I will say.
and playing
Sorry, go on.
N64 at daycare. Like those were the only experiences I had of.
Yeah, Metroid 2 was made for the original Game Boy. The original Metroid was on the NES, and I have an opinion it's even worse. That's fair. That's fair.
I need to be okay.
My first console. Remember, you can use the gun. My
Yes,
first
I need
console
to
was the NES that is under my bed at this very moment. Iconic. Oh, I remember what I was going to say.
That's awesome.
The thing about like original games to me, and when I say original games, I even am including like PlayStation 1. I was like, oh, we should play a Ratchet and Clank game for Salt Cravings because it's co-op.
Sure.
Ratchet and Clank is not co-op. It's co-op in my mind because I played it with my friend, and we would sit beside each other and play the game together.
I can't remember if it was you who was
co-op
telling
to
me about this experience, or if I know someone else who was talking to me about a very similar experience of remembering things as co-op that weren't.
Yeah. It might have been me. I think we might have talked about. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but.
Which, by the way, is the funniest possible, because that's like such a person with siblings experience to have. You are an only child, and I think that's hilarious.
Well, my best friend lived in the home next door, so like we would literally just run to each other's homes. There were days where we would go to one place and then back to the other and then back to the other. I have memories of like having our Game Boys in the backyard, catching Zapdos on Pokemon Blue, and like having the different methods of making it catch. Like you have to press it really fast, or the A button really fast. No, you have to press the B button really hard. You have to hold L as you're throwing the Pokeball, and all these like things that aren't true.
One of my favorite experiences was being at daycare. One of the days that one of my friends had brought his Game Boy to daycare because he was gonna catch Moltres, right? And it was very exciting because he was gonna catch Moltres. And so and so we're watching we're watching him do it, and we're all like talking. We're like, no, you gotta do it this way. You gotta do it like this. You gotta do it like this, right? Do we have to break?
No, we have 5 minutes. I'm just giving you a 5-minute warning.
5-minute warning. Okay, maybe I'll just stay here and we'll take a break after what I'm saying. And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna catch it in a Pokeball. I'm just gonna do it. And we're all like, yeah, sure you are, dude. You're not gonna catch it in a Pokeball. And he chucks the Pokeball. Tick, tick, tick. And we all went fucking wild. We were like, yeah,
that's the shit. That's the shit.
Oh my god, got it in a Pokeball. It was like he had found a shiny to us at that time, because we didn't know about shiny Pokemon. In fact, I remember I reset my copy of Pokemon Ruby as a child because I saw a shiny and I thought my game was broken. It's really funny.
Oof.
Yeah.
God. Struggle to not judge older games by modern, especially since you've played SNES games that hold up so well. They're great SNES games. Absolutely.
100%.
But that's fair.
Yeah,
Anyways.
that's fair. I think, yeah, but I think it's a very legitimate answer for what's the best age, era of video games, because it is so influential and so iconic and so revolutionary. All right.
I feel like I have an answer for every era, but anyways, we'll be back.
Oh, I would love to hear them after the break.